Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of two average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
Dale, how are you?
I'm doing great. Welcome, Two Guys, One Coup, episode 29. If you've all been listening to past episodes, thank you. We appreciate it. If not, start listening, tell your friends, get this out there. It's two guys, it's educational. Jim and I kind of report from national things going on around the country. Mainly political. We've been getting really deep into education lately.
Yeah, the National School Board Association recommends us 9 out of 10.
well, that's not a great endorsement, Jim. The National School Board Association, as we'll find out. Yeah, I know. So, they probably wouldn't recommend us whatsoever. I would think not going to work. But anyways, just two average guys kind of reporting on what's going on around the world. Again, like I said, education has been very forward on our minds lately, and everybody's most likely, with a lot of crap that's going on in the school systems. But we get into, our good Biden regime and the good things that's happening there, and the gas prices and inflation and everything else. So we talk about a lot of that stuff. So we appreciate you listening and sharing and forwarding it on to your friends. Make sure everybody is getting a chance to hear what's really happening and the truth out there, which is what you and I do. So we have a lot to get through today. So Jim, I'm throwing it over to you. Let's get this thing started.
Perfect. Okay. So Dale, as you know, that whenever an attack starts, people instantly start looking to blame, start and say, okay, this was this person's fault and that person's fault.
Mm-hmm. Like a shooting and stuff, or just
like the mass shooting.
Yeah. Okay.
And Representative Joyce Beatty, Democrat of Ohio, really takes the cake.
Oh boy.
Okay. Chairwoman, by the way, she's the chairwoman of Congressional Black Caucus, blamed white supremacy for last week's. Now this was a while ago. Okay, well, a couple weeks ago, shooting at a Dallas Korean hair salon.
I remember that.
Now I tell you what, this person was going on, and he's just doing his white supremacy comments and everything else, and come to find out the suspect was black.
Oh my gosh!
So she makes this comment before she even knows who the suspect is, because what is going on now? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh my God.
Rush to judge.
Right. Rush to judgment. This is a black person that did it. And if you look at and go out there and look, the mass shooting that's going on here lately. Yeah. 5 of them were black.
Correct.
Okay. But we're always talking about the white supremacy movement, right? Because that's what they want to do. They want to, as typical, we're getting close to the midterms, and nothing is going well for this administration or the Democrats. Nothing. So they gotta talk about this. But on Monday, 3 people in a Korean-owned hair salon in Dallas were gunned down, yet by another white supremacist replacement theorist, is what Beatty said. She said this in front of a crowd.
Oh my gosh.
That came to listen to her talk. We are sick of the pipeline from racist rhetoric to racist violence, she added. In addition to botching the date of the shooting, Beatty got a key detail wrong about the white supremacy replacement theorist charged with attacking the Dallas salon. The suspect is black. Beatty's office did not immediately respond to questions.
She didn't respond.
No, didn't respond.
I'm shocked.
Jeremy Smith, 37, which I don't really want to mention his name. I probably shouldn't have, but he was the one that did the had it.
Well, I mean, only mention it in case people want to look him up to verify that he indeed is not white.
Yeah, okay. The FBI is investigating the shooting as a hate crime. Okay.
As it should be.
Surveillance video captured his van with specific details and determined it to be a 2004 Honda Odyssey. So I just wanted to basically bring that up for the simple fact that this is how stupid some of these people are. I'm sorry. Before you even look at, before you even know, in front of a bunch of people that you're talking to, you sit there. Now, so how is she not being punished? Isn't this like, couldn't she have caused some problems?
A riot caused a problem. That's right. She could have.
Nothing's going to happen to her. She's not being censored.
Oh, no.
She's not nothing, because we can't, because, it meets the agenda, which is why, Dale, when you asked a while back, why a lot of people aren't talking about the mass shootings that are going on.
Yeah.
It might be a reason because 5 of them have been black when normally it is a white person that does it.
And out of those 5, how many of those shooting sites and cities did President Biden go visit? Out of those 5?
I doubt
none.
I doubt any.
Not a one.
Well, he's not going to Buffalo. He's not going to go anywhere. Oh, yeah.
He went to Buffalo.
Yeah, and found out that is a white supremacist that follows Democrats. But anyway.
Correct. Yep.
So in talking about African Americans or black or whatever, whatever they want to, whatever the proper term is now. Okay. Well, it's because, remember, we're talking to Kareem and we African American, it's black. But then you talk to some people, it's African American. So I don't know.
Yeah,
black. We'll just refer as black. Okay,
they're black.
Just want to go.
We're white.
Well, Black Lives Matter. Back in it again.
Oh boy.
Now they're starting to turn in their tax IRS information, and some things are getting out.
Years later, but yes.
Yeah, and it's donations to people and organizations that aren't necessarily good people. Okay. And again, folks, Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. Global Network Foundation. That's what we're talking about. Okay. Yep. But they donated $200,000 in the 2021 fiscal year to a Chicago-based nonprofit whose executive director repeatedly has called cops pigs. Now, is the organization that this guy belongs to a legit organization? I have no idea. Okay. All I'm saying is the Equity and Transformation, EAT, established in 2018, is a Chicago-based social justice not-for-profit. I love those terms. Social justice not-for-profit. Founded by and for post-incarcerated people. According to the website, recently released tax forms by the BLM Global Network reveal that they gave a cash grant of $200,000 during the 2021 fiscal year. The group which was founded by Defund the Police activist and community organizer, he's going to be president someday, Richard Wallace, who remains the group's executive director, has organized protests against police and advocates for reparations. However, it primarily focused on achieving social and economic equity for black workers engaged in the informal economy, or African Americans who work jobs not regulated or protected by the state, which appears to include criminal activity. So, Wallace,
Jim, how do you and I start a nonprofit organization, social justice nonprofit organization?
Sorry, I think it's very important that we do this, and basically, if we start saying terms like F Whitey, kill all cops, do all this stuff, Whitey. I think we could probably get money from BLM.
I think
so. But the reason I bring this up, Dale, how many times have we talked about? How many times have we discussed that if you pull African Americans in the inner city, they will say they do not want to defund the police. They don't.
Yes, correct.
If they defund the police, it causes more havoc for them and more problems for them. Okay?
Very true.
So, we get into that. And so basically BLM is going against what their people want. Okay? In my opinion, they're going against what people want.
What the majority of the black community is.
The majority of the black community. Correct. And there's some other things in here, but it's basically they gave they gave $5 million awarded grants to its chapters in several cities. They also spent $1.6 million to organizations that focus on transgender issues, including Transgender Advocates and the Transgender Law Center.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Again, no, not bashing transgenders or whatever the hell they go through in life. But what is that? Was it strictly black transgenders? Or, I mean, like what? Like what does that got to do with Black Lives Matter?
Doesn't. Like, it means nothing.
Oh, okay.
It's just they want to sit there and say they're giving some of this money away.
Tax write-offs.
Yeah. Okay. The foundation shoveled nearly $4 million into firms run by individuals close to its co-founder, Patrisse Cullors, who stepped away from the group last year, its tax forms revealed. The cash included $2.1 million to Bowers Consulting, a firm run by its board secretary, Shalimai Bowers, $970,000 to Trap Heels, LLC, a company registered to Damon Turner, the father of Cullors' child, and $840,000 to Cullors Protection, LLC, a firm owned by Cullors' brother, Paul.
Wait. So go on.
Nope, that's it.
No. So then, obviously, that'd be like me donating the funds I'm receiving from my LLC or from my
not-for-profit
organization and giving
social
it to
justice, not-for-profit,
giving it to an organization my wife started, and an organization my daughter started, and an organization my son started. I mean, come on. What?
Look, I don't.
Is
know.
Legal? It's probably legal, but
I don't know what these.
Sure, sketch.
I don't know what these companies are. Okay, I don't know who these people that they gave the money to. I have no idea.
Probably nobody does.
Well, the problem that I have is they were LLCs, companies. So they actually they weren't not-for-profits. They weren't helping build, from what the company names are, they weren't helping build community centers in downtown. They weren't, there's people in Ferguson, Missouri.
So doesn't that LLC have to claim that donation?
Yes, they will.
Well?
They will have to claim that. They have to, because that is it's a requirement. But we're starting to see things come because they're actually now having to file these IRS claims. And again, I want to just sit there and point out, guys, this Black Lives Matter, the people that support it, the people that are actually going out there, you guys really need to look at what you're doing and look at who you're doing this for. The global network is not a friend of anybody other than making money and giving money to people that they want to give money to. This is what it's about. And I don't care if it comes back and says, well, you got somebody who just started a movement and all of a sudden they get millions of dollars and they just weren't comfortable. They didn't know how to utilize it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'll give you that one excuse for that. Because we didn't even talk about the mansion that they bought in LA.
Correct.
And now she bought houses, but it was her own money.
Yeah.
According to reports. But now, according to this report,
where'd she get all this money?
That group never gave her money. She didn't get any money from Global Network, from the Black Lives Matter Global Network.
Who's saying that?
The reports, the IRS said she did not get any money.
Patrisse Cullors.
Yeah, so I don't know where her salary comes from. I don't know what happened. I do not know any of it because it didn't go into detail. But there's a lot of things around this global network situation. And folks, Candace Owens is going to be coming up with something soon on this, which is one of the reasons why Dale and I talked about it. Why should we should probably talk about this a little bit more because, we've been talking about Black Lives Matter and how we feel they're using the black people, just like the Democratic Party is.
Yes.
How many times have we gone over again that Barack Obama, the first black president, right? Well, their lives weren't any better. As a matter of fact, more people went on welfare, and they did more for illegals in this country than they did African Americans. So And it's out there. I mean,
Jim,
it's out there. All you got to do is research.
I think you have. Yeah, I think you had a figure of, wasn't it 19% of the
working aged people
were on welfare during Barack Obama's.
Yep. Which is why the unemployment rate never matched with what was really going on during that time period, because they never talked about that, right? I mean, the CNN, MSNBC, ABC, they never talked about it. They never brought it up. They only talked about his great jobs creations, or which he was creating jobs by putting people in welfare is basically what it was doing.
Yeah, but, that's his job creation.
And now, again, I want to just explain something to everybody. This includes Republican or Democrat presidents alike. Presidents do not create jobs. However, their policies can help or hurt the creation of those jobs.
That's correct.
The companies and organization that create jobs. You take more money from them where they don't have the money, there's less jobs. You give tax cuts where they have more money, there's more jobs. It's history. Go and look. It's out there.
Correct.
That never has a recession or any financial issues been fixed by giving money to people, which is why the Build Back Better, the Republicans are getting nailed for it because we voted against it along with Manchin, but it's because that doesn't fix. Throwing money at a problem, spending money you don't have. But those same Republicans who turned down Build Back Better, I know jumping off topic here, Build Back Better, but decided to give $43 billion to Ukraine. So it's guys, Dale and I, if you've been around us long enough to know, I don't give a shit if you have an R or a D behind your name. If you do something that we feel is not in the best interest of the American people, then you're going to get called out. And we had 11 Republicans that voted against that Ukraine bill. But we can get into that. We'll get into the recession stories.
Yeah, that's right. And like you mentioned, we talked about the Black Lives Matter because the Candace Owens documentary on Black Lives Matter and George Floyd is coming out this month. I don't think it's been released yet, but I think it's maybe this week or next week that it is coming out. And you can go see the trailer for it on YouTube, on wherever. It looks pretty informative. That's all I'll say. Pretty informative. So, Jim, great work. You want to move on?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, as mentioned at the top of the show, Jim and I have been discussing lately a lot about the American public education system, the school boards, what's going on in our nation, all the way from parents not, being kicked out of school board meetings to, sexual gender orientation, indoctrination into our, school systems and into math books and you name it. Well, follow along with this one a little bit. This is something that's happened in a town called Haertland, Michigan. And the school was Round Elementary School. Haertland, Michigan's between Ann Arbor and Lansing. Okay. As an Ohio State guy, you already know that I'm probably against the whole school system there anyways, but that I digress. I was able to speak with a woman by the name of Brooke Chappell. Brooke Chappell is in the school district. Her children do not go to this school currently, but is in the same school district. And I'll get into more about her, but saw a little story. And honestly, this came about, I don't mind saying, going through TikTok. And it popped up on, videos you'll see on there, and seeing as I watch a lot of like political and or educational type bits on there, this popped up and I wanted to know more about it because if I went out and researched right now on Google, Haertland, Michigan, Round Elementary School, you won't find this story anywhere out there. You will not find it anywhere out there, which then led me to believe how many more of these kind of stories I'm about to say are out there and not getting the national attention they should get. So let's get into this. an elementary school, Brown Elementary School in Haertland, Michigan, had a substitute teacher come into a kindergarten class. This substitute teacher then proceeded to give ultrasounds on the children. Ultrasounds. Now, wait a second. How do you give this so-called substitute teacher brought an ultrasound machine with them and started bringing the kids up, laying them on the floor, lifting their shirts, rubbing the jelly on like you do. Maybe some people have been through an ultrasound, some people haven't, but it's like when you're pregnant, they give you one, or, particularly my wife's had some health issues with heart. It's the same process. And they have to be very careful because if they have pacemakers, if they have other things going on within their body, even cancer cells, it can generate the cancer cells. It's basically radiation, okay, in a way, going through. And started performing these ultrasounds on these children. Well, apparently at the time, an adult walked in. I don't know if it was a teacher's aide, if it was, we're still getting more, and there's some legal things going on where all the information isn't quite available.
Which is probably why there's no story on it yet.
Correct. And walked in, and he stopped. He stopped doing it. They did not kick him out of the class. They let him sit in the class. Somebody else conducted the class, and the guy fell asleep in the back of the school. He fell asleep in a chair in the classroom. Well, the only way they found out about this involved parents. Your child came home. Hey, how was your day? What did you learn today? That kind of thing. Oh, well, a guy lifted up our shirts and rubbed jelly on our bellies. Excuse me, what?
I probably would.
Yeah, and then
and
then he fell asleep in the back of the class. What? So as they started questioning this to the school board, and Brooke Chapel is the one really pushing forward with this, they played it off that, this is a social media hoax. Didn't happen. None of this happened at all. Well, they kept pushing and pushing and said, no, wait a second. Too many stories from too many kids going on here. Then the school board releases a statement and says, well, it did happen and it was a substitute teacher, but he's a surgeon and he thought this would be a great learning experience for the children. So first they blew it off as a social media hoax, didn't admit it. Then they come back with this half-assed excuse for why it happened. Now, interesting part, in addition to all this, is that they won't release the guy's name. Any parent can call up and get any substitute that's ever been at that school or any school and get the substitute teacher's name. The school board won't release his name. They did say that he is no longer allowed to teach in that district, but he's a substitute in the state of Michigan. He can go anywhere and do this. Now, another interesting point is parents in this school district aren't allowed in their schools at all. It's been that way since COVID, and it's still that way today. They aren't allowed to step foot in the schools. Now, the school system can get food deliveries from Jimmy John's. They can go to sporting events and attend. They can go anywhere else, to a mall, to a grocery store, everywhere else they want to go, but they're not allowed in any school in that district. How do you keep track of your children if you're not allowed to go in? This is exactly what groups fight about, what the parents are fighting about. Brooke herself, was actually kicked out of a school board meeting when discussing this. They kicked her out of the meeting. Now, this November, they have an election, school board. There's 4 seats open. This is fully ran by Democrats currently, and there's 4 seats open, and they hope to switch those, obviously, to Republican. But this is Democrat, and you can make it political or not political. The whole point is that your child, 5-year-old, goes into school and all of a sudden a grown adult is lifting their shirt, a medical procedure, for one, that I started to review Michigan law, And I think it's illegal in the state of Michigan for a medical procedure like that to be done on anybody that's under 13.
Makes sense.
Without a parent's consent.
I mean, like you said, this is an X-ray basically.
This is basically an X-ray, and it's and then the school said, so I meant to tell you this too when I was going through this, said, well, don't worry, he only did it on boys.
Okay. All right. I'm not worried anymore.
What?
I'm not worried.
Only on boys. Now, as I was talking to Brooke, she says, your 5-year-old, can you tell the difference between a boy and girl when you lift their shirt? Generally, no, nope. Right? It doesn't. None of that matters. And the fact is that this guy, it's a creepy act, if nothing else. And for parents to not be informed or send a consent form, say, hey, we're going to conduct ultrasounds on you. How many parents would be like, yeah, that's great. So anyways, I want to first of all thank Brooke for sharing that story with us.
Definitely.
And for speaking with us. We have all of her contact info. And as this moves forward, we are going to stay on top of this because there are some legal aspects of all of this that is going on. I hope I did the story justice enough for right now. There's a lot.
I think it did. I think there was some other things that we weren't able because we don't know. It's just right now.
Because we don't know. But another interesting thing, and we'll talk about this even later, or at least we'll mention it, is that Brooke is also affiliated with a group called Moms for Liberty. And she is the media chair for their branch. Mm-hmm. Okay. So she is heavily involved in that. She is also getting a lot of backlash from parents who are like, oh, just leave it alone. Just leave. So I'm thinking very liberal area of Michigan. Right. Because there isn't a conservative out there that wouldn't be pissed off at this. If I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So that is going on there. And again, Brooke, thank you for sharing that. We're going to continue to talk about that and find out more detail on it. I do have, real quick, some other school news. First of all, there was a teacher in Virginia, a middle school teacher, who was arrested last week. Oh, by the way, I'm such a mess up. This story on the Round Elementary School just happened on May 18th. So this is recent. This isn't something old. A lot of the things have developed since then, a lot of information, but like I said, more to come on that, but it just happened. So on to this one. A Virginia middle school teacher was arrested last week and charged with 2 counts of possession of child pornography, according to police. Christine Nisner, 28, female. A general science teacher at Irvine Middle School in Washington, D.C., a suburb of Springfield, allegedly had child sexual abuse content on her Snapchat account, according to the Fairfax County Police Department. The Bureau Cyber Child Exploitation Squad received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I don't know if you've heard of them, Jim. Mm-hmm. I have, and they were very, very, they did stories on this almost weekly on like Live PD when that show was on A&E. Yeah. But according to a statement put out by the Fairfax County, that's how they found this story. A tip indicated that someone with a Snapchat account associated with Fairfax County IP address was in possession of child sexual abuse material. When they traced it all back to this wonderful, wonderful female. Again, her name is Christine Nisner. She's 28. Child abuse. She's a teacher, like these. I understand that every group has weirdos. Every group has bad people. We've heard about it. Even cops, they have bad cops. Doctors have bad doctors. But there's got to be some more involvement in who is teaching our young children. I don't know, how long was she a teacher? I don't know. Really briefly, and I'll end this. I've got
Is this the one where the story where they had where they said there was no evidence that she touched or abused any of the students that she had? It matters.
That is true.
That's true. So we got to point that out.
It says that there's no evidence that she actually abused a child.
Does it matter? Anyway.
There's a lot of no evidence of crimes being committed by the person who commits them before they commit them.
Usually.
Am I wrong? So sometimes there's a long list of, okay, that guy we knew was going to do it. We should have arrested him. And then I just got a kind of a brief update on a story we did last week on the conference for Philadelphia teachers. Hopefully, if you have not heard that, you should go back and listen to last Thursday's show, I believe.
And for the show purposes, Dale and I are going to attend this as well.
Well, Jim, good news. There's good news for you. This summer, there's another one from July 21st to the 23rd. 2 months from today, you and I can attend the trans.
I think we should.
Yeah, I'm sure we could fake our teacher credentials because apparently they're letting anybody in as a sub or as a teacher. It doesn't matter. But anyways, just real quickly, I know I went over it a lot, but there was also a guy there by the name of Dr. Scott Mosner, which we did not talk about. Moser, I'm sorry, Mosser. He's a plastic surgeon or works for the Gender Confirmation Center in San Francisco. He highlighted the need for extreme respect and affirmation for trans-identified children. Moser explained that I do not have a minimum age of any sort in my practice. There's no chronological age that says you don't get surgery. Moser added that he had never performed a consult or surgery on a 12-year-old, but had performed a limited number of gender transition surgeries on 13-year-olds and expressed openness to having a consultation with a 10-year-old and 11-year-old if they had parental consent. So who did this story? Rufo, he's the one who released this, posted a link to the Gender Confirmation Center's website, which listed the fees for a top surgery involving the removal of breast tissue from girls who identify as boys. This surgery cost $8,500 to $10,000. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to remove the breasts of a 12-year-old. Yeah, tell me that's not money making in itself. The issue also is that in Philadelphia, their school grades are down, their test scores are far down, much like across America. And this is their focus, is having big dick energy and trans fam doggy spankers and everything else there to discuss this stuff. So anyways, that's just a brief update on that.
Real quick, I want to add because you get people commenting all the time. Well, the people that defend this. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, but if you would leave it up to the parents at home to teach them this, if you have a parent that is, and here's always my favorite, the parent that is completely hateful towards this type of living, towards this type of lifestyle, it's going to affect that child. It's going to make that child do that. Well, here's the problem, which you and I have talked about this. We understand there's some fathers and mothers out there that aren't going to be able to take it very well, right? We get that. We understand that.
We do.
There's some people that are very adamant against it. But just because somebody's against something doesn't mean that it's bad. Okay? Mm-hmm. Majority, and I am talking a vast majority of people where they don't want their kids taught this in school, that want to teach it to them at home. Most of the people are going to be doing it in a peaceful way, saying, look, we just don't agree with it, but that's what's happening. They just want to point out the small few that there's probably going to be some people out there that there's probably parents out there that are racist, both ways.
Yeah.
Okay, both ways
both
for
ways.
Everything.
Both ways.
Asian hate and all that stuff. So, and by the way, real quick, I'm going to leave my story on that stuff for tomorrow, for the next show, because it adds to the interview that we're doing. But I just want to add one thing. Teachers, Dale and I support the vast majority of you. Mm-hmm. We really do. It's not an easy profession, especially with some of the parents that you're dealing with, which causes the children. But the only thing I say to you is this. Do not sit there and tell me that you get frustrated when there's no parent involvement for kids that are failing your class. And then when you ask those parents, they say, it's not my job to teach the kids. It's your job to teach the kids. So you don't see them at parent-teacher conference. You don't do that.
Yep.
Don't get mad at that. But then turn around and tell us we have no business telling teachers how to teach their class.
Exactly. You can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways. That's not how this works. And we're not telling you how to teach your class. We're telling you what not to teach. We have... Our guest sent us some statistics. and we'll save them for later. But they'll just mention that downward trend
in
everything. In every school,
basically,
most every school, we got to be careful.
Major cities and all that.
For all the tests, the test requirements, the standardized
tests,
tests
the
that we
science,
always
the history,
take.
standardized tests.
But we need to teach our kids about transgenders. We're missing out on this, guys. We're going to, and we'll get into more of this the next show, because I'll save some of my stories for that.
But yeah, so it's not so yeah. We need to teach them transgender, but then you need to, it's gone even further than that now. So, I mean, it's gone to the point where Brooke is telling us a story about, bringing an ultrasound machine. Like, she made a good point, and I'll give her credit for this while I was talking to her. She's like, what's next? Like vaginal exams? Well, I mean, why does that sound crazy to anybody? What if it's not, breast exams, vaginal exams? What are they going to give, colonoscopies to 10-year-olds next? Right. Seriously, we've talked about it a million times. You give these predators an inch like this, they're gonna keep going until eventually somebody says stop, and you got to stop it now.
All the individuals out there that want to sit here and say that, well, this, you got to respect well, you know what, it's not, we're not respecting transgenders, we're not respecting homosexuals.
That's got nothing to do with this.
The thing that we're looking at is, we are looking at what you just said. We are looking at the ones that aren't really this, but are taking advantage of it because they can get away with it. And I'm sorry, predators are out there. And now what you guys are doing is you're giving them a blueprint on how to do it. And it's disgusting. We talked about the school in South Dakota where they basically showed pictures of how a woman giving oral pleasure to another woman.
Or the kid in Colorado who's expelled from school because he misgenderized a student.
Enough's enough, people. Our kids are failing in math. They're failing in English. Let's teach them. And I want to be careful when I say science, because then they're going to throw in, well, okay, it's science. You should be able to teach this because it is science. It's biology. And it's like,
And I need to make one last point on this story about Brooke and the Round Elementary School and the fact that they're not releasing the name of the substitute teacher. First off, they claimed he was a surgeon. I don't know how many surgeons that are subbing kindergarten.
Yeah, that's kind of odd.
That's kind of odd, right?
Yeah.
And second of all, that leads us to all believe it's a bullshit made up story. He's not a surgeon. There's no way. I'm going to say I'm 90% convinced that he is not a surgeon, or why wouldn't you release his name? Right. Why would you not want the public to know that? So anyways, Jim, that's what I've got on education. Let's again, thank you, Brooke. We'll keep in touch with her because there's more on this story. Let's move on, Jim.
Okay, this section of mine isn't going to take very long. I just want to add a couple things regarding the recession. And the Federal Reserve is looking to slow soaring inflation, and it is noting the possibility of the U.S. suffering from higher unemployment rate, a decline in economic growth, and a recession, potentially creating more problems for the Biden administration. This is the Federal Reserve, guys.
Okay, but that's all happened already.
See, this is what I'm trying to figure out. So what they're saying in a nutshell is it's going to get worse, folks. It's going to get worse.
You
got
that
for
right.
those of you out there that sit there and look at and thinking that it's a 3.8% unemployment rate.
Unemployment?
It's not.
Come on.
Okay.
So why are they hiring everywhere?
Exactly. There's a thing called real unemployment. That's around 6, 8, 7%. I don't even buy that. Because what's not caught in that are the people that have completely left. They're not getting unemployment benefits. They've left the workforce. They're getting money somewhere, guys. And so this is going to sound harsh, but you know what we need to start looking at? Let's start looking at the welfare system. And let's start going and saying, okay, limitations to the welfare system. We've got to cut the money to the welfare system. We have to.
And if anybody says, Jim, to you or to us that that's racist, that you're being, Why is that racist? Is it only blacks on the
No,
welfare
because
system?
if you look at statistically speaking, it's almost
not.
right down the middle.
It is.
There's not more black, more white. It's not. That's
correct.
The way it is.
Exactly.
But the point of
so I don't want to hear the bullshit from everybody about that.
Now, I know this is going to sound bad because it's like, oh my God, you're taking money away from people. These individuals, a lot of them have lived off of us, the backbone of workers, for too long.
Mm-hmm.
We eventually have to sit there and say enough's enough. So because you have situations like this where you have a person who's living in the home, she's on welfare. Okay, no matter whatever happens, you got women out there where a husband passes away. Okay, and you're stuck with 3 children. I want that individual to have welfare for the short time to get herself back on her feet. Now, the length of that is whatever. You can debate that all you want to. I feel 2 years. I feel 2 years. Okay, and that might even be too long. That might even be too long. But after a while, what we're saying is we want to help you in the short term, but eventually you're going to have to get on your feet. You're going to have to do this yourself. Well, the problem with some of these individuals is you have some people that are on welfare, whether it's because a deadbeat husband left you with nothing and you're not getting anything. But the point of the matter is a new man moves in. Well, they don't get married because they can't get married because then that would put them out. That puts them out of the benefits of welfare. So we have people out there taking advantage of the welfare system. I know that's going to come as a surprise to you liberals, but you always want to sit here and say, let's go ahead and tax the rich. Do the ultra tax. What they want to slam the mega rich people.
Absolutely.
In a recession, any economist that tells you that a tax increase is a good idea is full of shit. You never increase taxes during a recession. That causes more problems. That especially when you go to corporations. That corporations need to make money. I don't care if you think that it's ridiculous how much money some of these companies make. It's none of my business.
Correct.
It's none of your business. Everybody always wants to go after the oil industry, right? The massive gains that they make. Is anybody talking about Bezos, Amazon? How much they're making? No. What he's actually, he's a billionaire.
Yep.
I'm
sure Elon Musk, any of them.
Yeah. So it's,
well, they're talking about Elon Musk now because he's going to vote Republican.
Now,
but go on.
The one thing that we talk about in this, Joe Biden right now is going around and touting that he's had under his administration, he's had the largest turnaround in 40 plus years.
How?
Okay. Here's why they're doing it. They're comparing it to the year we had COVID when everything was shut down.
Yes.
Okay. So
we all know this.
President Trump in July of 2020 decided enough's enough. Okay. We're going to get back. We're going to go back. We're going to do that. If you want to have mask mandates still going into stores, fine. But we're going back to work. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. So states started opening up. Some of them. Mostly ran by Republicans, but I digress.
Yep, correct.
So our economy was so bad during that time. That's what they're comparing it to, guys. They're not comparing it to 2019. They're not comparing it to 2018. They're comparing it to 2020.
How do liberals not see this?
They don't want to see
it.
These are the same people that still think that Russia is the cause of all of our problems. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is what, I wanted to point out. Most people that are listening to us understand this, right? But it's...
I would hope.
But the problem that I have with this is that, you know what? Yeah, we've had the largest rebound in the economy over a 2-year period than any other time in the 40 years. 2020 was really bad. Okay, it was really bad. That was not the cause of President Trump's policies. It had nothing to do with his policies. As a matter of fact, his policies, if it wasn't for his policies, it probably would have been worse, right?
It would have been worse.
So we just need to be careful because, Biden's always blaming the inflation on Russia's war. Okay. It's the consumer price rose 8.3%. It forced Americans to have to pay more for gas, groceries, and other expenses. We know that. We're all paying for it, right? We all have to do that.
Oh, yeah.
But the key thing that I want to point out, Republicans have no answer. And you know what the Republicans' answer is? Open up the pipeline.
Yeah.
Okay. Allow our farmers to farm.
Mm-hmm.
Allow people to do what they need to do. The United States of
Mm-hmm.
America, for somebody to sit there and say that a war in Russia, where they're attacking the Ukraine, is affecting
Yeah.
our economy as much as it is, it's
Is
ridiculous. We are
it's
the
ridiculous.
superpower, the lone
Yep.
superpower in this world, and we can
Yep.
take care of ourselves.
Yep.
All they
Yep.
have to
We have
do
all the
All they
resources
have
to
to
do
do is
that.
open that pipeline. And don't give me this
That's
shit
it.
about, well, it takes a year or more to be able to. It doesn't matter. It's been proven. You open that pipeline up, you start drilling in this country, prices
Yep.
go down immediately. Immediately. So,
Well, and also they don't realize that. So, Biden just canceled leases on drilling.
yep.
I don't think what they understand is by the time, so you see an oil rig out there, right? 60, 80 miles out in the thing. That oil rig that you see there, if it was brand new today, started 10 years ago, you have to get the permits, and you have to get the equipment, and you have to get the drilling, and you have to get more permits, and you have to build the structure, then you have to hire employees, and that takes a decade to get that out there. And so what he just did by canceling even more puts us even further behind.
Mm-hmm.
Liberals, it's that simple. Go on.
No, it's
Sorry,
okay.
I'm
And
whatever.
okay, so
Yeah,
as part of an effort to improve America's view of the economy, Biden will be traveling around the country to push his claims of a recovery. He is also attempting to persuade voters to his administration offers better economic policies than the Republicans do.
who's he
The
persuading? It's
administration
Korea.
has claimed that the GOP would fail to do enough to curb inflation and that it would look to increase taxes for American families.
Yeah. Remember, guys, this is a guy that fell upstairs getting onto an airplane. Go on.
Guys, most people know you don't raise taxes during recession. Republicans, yes, I know there's that Scott bill out there, right? From Florida.
Yeah.
That he has price increases in his. That's his. No
That's
other
his.
Republican has sided with it, which I'm surprised
Nope.
Rick Scott did that. I really am. I even looking at what he says, even looking at how he just no. Okay.
Yeah.
Conservatives don't raise taxes, guys. We are for lower taxes. Get the hell out of our business government. We don't need you in it. Leave us alone. So the Republicans do have, and real simple, the Republicans' policy is let us take over the House and the Senate, and then we'll start our process of fixing it. But
exactly.
of course, it's hard to do that when the rest of the country is thinking that it's Russia's fault. So now, here's what I'm going to tell everybody out there. We all know that during September and October, more than likely during that time, there's going to be some things that are being done. Look for another stimulus. Okay. And also look for at least $10,000 of student loans to be removed from the student loan debt. This does not help a recession. So if this makes people,
it's buying.
If
votes.
this makes people vote for this administration and the Democrats to continue the policies and paths that they're going, the high price in gas, the high price in food, the high price in this, running out of baby food, running out of this, running out of that, is going to continue. You just had that one little blurb where you had this extra money, and you get some of your student loans reduced. Guys, don't fall for it, please.
Jim, they give you 3 $600 checks. Okay. Yay, we got $1,800. Now it costs me $3,000 more in gas a year. Right. It costs, or in groceries, it costs me $800 more a year in gas. It costs me, you name it, everything else is going up. So they give us $1,800, but it costs me probably an average of $10,000 more a year. Now this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing, and they want you reliant on the government.
And we have financial advisors under the Clinton White House. Okay, financial advisors under the Clinton White House are saying this is this administration's fault. They have got to do something for this recession. And we all know how stupid the Democrats are, and especially the idiots that are running it right now. Guys, don't fall for it. There's going to be some money given towards the end to help families out and do this and do that.
Yep.
But I just want to point out, this is an administration that the FDA cut Abbott, okay, which is one of the largest producers of baby formula in the country.
Correct.
There was some issues about unsafe tainted product, so they shut it down.
Well,
no problem.
Well,
okay?
Yeah, it wasn't even that plant, and they knew that almost immediately.
Right, but I want to point out that is a third of the production for baby food in this country.
Correct.
They had no, contingency plan for it. They had none.
Of course not.
So when you sit there and you hear that it's Abbott's fault, okay, not the Governor Abbott, but it's Abbott, the makers, the company. It's their fault. It's not President Biden's fault, because The View, Whoopi Goldberg, which everybody goes to for news, and the right, she's not, right when they said, the economy is Russia's fault. They said this, said this.
Yeah.
It's his fault, and then it's not Biden's fault for the baby formula. It's maybe not his administration's fault, but it's his administration's fault for not reacting. Because when you lose a third of your production, if you lose a third of your production, and if they think that plant wasn't safe to produce baby formula, folks, we're getting our baby formula from China. They were touting the first shipment of baby formula coming over from China. Do you think they have the same requirements we do?
They have no regulations.
Nope. So
I would rather feed my child mashed up anything and grind it, and I don't care what it is. I'd feed them anything except Chinese baby formula. Come on now. I mean, this is crazy. Jim,
this administration has to stop blaming everyone else for what's going on.
It does.
And everyone's going to sit there and come back and say, well, Donald Trump always blamed this and that. I'm not saying that was right. Okay. We need to stop. We need to stop blaming you got to do what you got to do right now.
Well,
Governor DeSantis,
stop blaming, agreed.
Governor DeSantis in Florida is literally helping his people in Florida by cutting this tax, by cutting that tax, by doing that.
Correct.
So why don't the states do that? The Texas, the Indianas, the states that have Republican governors say, I'm cutting the tax cut or the gas tax.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because a state, Texas might have it, but a state like Indiana doesn't have the surplus budget in order to do that.
Correct.
They don't have the tourism. You know what I mean?
We can cut back certain things. In Indiana, I do believe Indiana does have a budget. I think we have a surplus budget, I believe. Now, maybe not enough to cover it, but you know what? For 3 months,
Florida's got a $20 billion
but for 3 months
surplus budget.
Wouldn't it be a good idea for 3 months for the state of Indiana to say, okay, we have got to offset costs. We're going to help our people in Indiana. We're gonna stop the 56 cents a gallon tax that it is in Indiana. We're gonna cut it. Now it's still going to be $4 a gallon, but it's still going to be. It's better. It's showing people are trying to do something. Okay, but in real simple, guys, this administration can take care of this problem real simple. We are the freaking United States of America. We don't need other countries.
Best country on earth.
We don't need other countries to help us. We should be able to do this on our own. We should be able to make damn chips on our own. We should be able to make whatever the hell we can do. We should be able to do it. But no, we're not, because of people like McConnell.
Well, they're like people like
who are so much into China right now that that's what's going on. And China owns us, guys. China owns us.
Where do you think the $40 billion for Ukraine came from?
Yeah. Well, we didn't have it.
It's a loan.
Yep.
It's a loan. Who's going to pay that shit back? I mean, it's left up to our children's children who won't have it available. We talk about this all the time.
Anyway, the Biden administration, it just continues to show that there is no leadership whatsoever in anywhere, any place, any form of anything. At least under Obama, we could sit here and say that maybe the transportation secretary or maybe this secretary was not crazy, right? This administration, I can't point out any person of any place within this administration that is doing anything good for the United States.
I can't either.
None.
I can't
Zero.
Either. not the transportation secretary, not the education secretary. Not I can go down the list and just literally be baffled at how much each one of those positions are single-handedly trying to destroy this country. Yep. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Not even Obama had the balls to get that deep into it.
I never thought we could have an attorney general worse than Eric Holder.
We have
one now.
We have one. Exactly. And Eric Holder's bad.
Yes. And we have one right now that is completely going against anything of law and creating it himself. He is allowing and I'll get into this story tomorrow, or the next time we record. He is. There are people asking him to send in the National Guard, not just the FBI, the National Guard, to help at some of these school board meetings to help the parents that are going back.
Yeah.
But
the domestic terrorists.
But they won't. Yeah. That's not illegal, guys. For you to go in and talk into a school board, as long as you don't make threats, please understand that. Yep. I do not condone threats. You do not threaten the teachers. You do not threaten the administration. You don't threaten them. You tell them this is not going to be tolerated. We're going to stand up and do this. But that's not what's going on. So, but it is actually against a lot of protests in front of a Supreme Court justice home.
And
nothing's being done about that. The National Guard hasn't been sent in there, have they?
Well, these are all diversions. These are all diversions. Jim, I know we're running a little kind of late here. No. I mean, it's not. I don't have a lot, so we'll move on to our last segment, and then it'll be real quick. So. Jim, not jumping onto the last segment, but just so you know, 12th straight day of record high gas prices. Yeah. But anyways,
and everybody knows it.
Everybody knows it. Everybody's feeling it. But now the average is $4 and almost 60 cents a gallon. That's ridiculous. Jim, if you were listening, I'll get through this real quick. I promise you, and we'll get more into it probably more next week. But if you were watching ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, you heard 0 minutes on this story. And that story is the Durham report. So for those who don't know, the Durham report is a result of the investigation from the Mueller report.
Can I add something real quick Trump-Russia that I hope I don't take away from your thunder?
Oh, go ahead. I don't care.
Do you remember how many hours they reported on it? When it was on the Russia probe for Trump.
On Trump and Russia. I couldn't even tell you, but it was 98% of the stories.
They couldn't shut up about it.
They couldn't shut up about it. But now that Durham report. Yeah. So real quick, Michael Sussman, who was the, if I'm not mistaken, he was the attorney for Perkins Cole lawyer, Michael Sussman, who was also the attorney for Hillary Clinton, the campaign. Is that correct?
It goes back to a statement to James Baker.
It goes back to the statement to James Baker, and he admitted that last week. Actually, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, was it Sussman that admitted? I'm sorry, I wasn't planning on doing this today, but I wanted to bring it up because we got to talk about it more. Admitted that Hillary Clinton did know about the Russian collusion story and signed off on it.
That just came out.
That was the defense's witness.
That was big.
It was big that he said that. So because, and not that we didn't all know this, not that you and I and every other conservative out there did not know that Hillary Clinton was not involved in that whole Russia scandal bullshit. I mean, it happened to come out in October of 2015, right? Yeah. Right before the election, 2016, right before the election. I'm sorry, October of 2016. It was their October surprise, and Hillary Clinton signed off on it. Why? Because up until that point, it was, Hillary, where's your emails? Where's your emails? Where's the emails? Oh shit, we got to come up with something. Here's the Russian collusion story. Hillary signed off, even though the FBI at the time claimed there was no basis for this story. There's no investigation, and none of it's true. She still signed off on it. So I just wanted to let people know that the Durham investigation is going on. I know you won't see it because Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are
my God, can you believe this?
I mean, she shit on his bed. Case closed. Get rid of her. She's done.
Day. We have to talk about this. And
I got to be honest. And I got to be honest with you. The only reason I like the Herd Depp is because it's another example to me of the whole why we can't believe all women story. You know, it's just another example. Because
the Durham,
we can get into that at some
the Durham
other time,
report.
This
very
is important to know,
and I think people need to pay attention to this. You and I talked about it. We brought it up on a while ago before this even got there. We were saying, "Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, correct.
There's something here," and it was because the Democrats started the probe. They started the investigation. And
there's another point. And so, how much money and time did Robert Mueller spend investigating Donald Trump, his organization, everybody, all the way down to his, probably his sperm count? They investigated for years, millions and millions of dollars, and yet not a once in that Mueller investigation did it claim that Hillary Clinton signed off on it. But Durham gets it right away, and they get it from the witness for the defense when being questioned by his own attorney. So what does that tell you? To me, is Mueller to me should also be investigated.
Yeah.
He obstructed
I got
justice.
News for you. The FBI.
He obstructed
the FBI
justice.
Under the Obama administration needs to be. Guys, they wiretapped a president's house.
A sitting president. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Guys,
that's illegal. Just in case for the slow pokes out there in San Francisco and
I want to.
That's illegal.
Yeah, pay attention.
But
more's coming out.
Just pay attention to the Durham.
But I do want to add one thing, if I could, Dale. Nothing to do
Jim,
with.
you've done most of the talking today, so go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I just have to add this because
yes,
I love Lauren Boebert. I don't know if you.
So do
okay,
I.
Are you familiar with Amy Arambide?
No.
Okay. She is a pro-abortion advocate. She was speaking on. She was speaking on, and for the lawmakers, she was actually going in, and the lawmaker asked her, "What do you say a woman is?" The activist answered, "I believe that everyone can identify themselves." Bishop,
of course,
then followed up asking, "Do you believe that men can become pregnant and have abortions?" Arambide didn't skip a beat, confidently answering, "Yes, men can get pregnant and have abortions."
Therefore, it's no longer a woman's right.
Well, Lauren Boebert on Twitter replies, "So I guess men can have an opinion on abortion after all. Thanks for clearing that up." Boom.
See, exactly. Boom. It's not a woman's right anymore. Nope. So says this whack job activist who's these people are, come on. These people are idiots. Jim, I'm going to let you review what is going to be coming up on Thursday's episode.
And I am excited about this beyond belief.
Tell us.
We have heard about this group called Mom for Liberty. My wife has been one of the individuals that pushed it. She listened to an interview with Alex Marlowe. So I reached out to a local chapter here, and we have a guest coming on. Her name is Paige Miller, and she is from the Carmel, Indiana. For all of you who know Indiana, Carmel, Indiana is north of northeast maybe of Indianapolis, but it's north of Indianapolis. It's the largest school district in Indiana. Before anybody screams, she is an ex-teacher, but she is the head of the Moms for Liberty in this area. And she has a lot of people at her disposal, and she is fun. I would not want to go against her. I'm just telling you that.
Nope.
And she is going to be talking about what they are doing. We will not be talking about abortion. We would not be talking about the inflation. That's not what this conversation is about. This is about
not at all.
What is going on and what the progressives are trying to do to our children. And when I say Moms for Liberty, folks, Moms for Liberty has a lot of progressive liberal women in it. Okay.
They do.
They're not a partisan. It is a bipartisan group that cares about our kids' education. That's what they do.
Correct.
That's who they are. And keep in mind and understand that there are a number of current teachers that are active within Mom, but they have to keep they have to keep it down because they're currently teaching and they know the backlash that they will get. Okay. Which, how bad is that? Right. So much for freedom of speech.
Exactly.
Right? But she will be talking. We will be going to do an interview tomorrow, and I am so excited about it. And she is an outstanding individual. And like I said, I just would not want to mess with her. But look them up. Moms for Liberty. It was started, I believe, in Florida. I believe it was started in Florida.
It was
started in Florida. Now I think it's in Paige will have to confirm this, but I think it's like in 37 now of the 50 states.
I think 37 or 38.
Yeah,
I think you're
so it's huge.
And just remember, like the story we did earlier, Brooke Chappell, she is part of that Moms for Liberty group up in Michigan, which was quite a surprise to us. You know, we were happy to hear that because that's incredible. And we'll have her on too at some point. But yeah, Jim, this is big. Paige, we've had a brief phone conversation with Paige already.
It was supposed to take 15
She's a
minutes.
and I'm telling you, guys, you know, I'm not trying to overplay this at all, but it's important that you really listen to what she says, what she's doing, what the organization's all about, and the problems that we have in our school system. This affects, you may think, I don't have kids in school. What do I care? You know, no, but guess what? You know, they are going to be the people who are in charge of our country. Those are the people that are going to be running businesses, running their everyday lives. This is the indoctrination of children that we're talking about, and it's super important that this group and Paige is.
And remember, I want to stress this because we mentioned for the Kareem interview, we asked our listeners to keep an open mind from a conservative standpoint, because he was going to make comments that were going to be completely against what some of us feel. But keep an open mind. I'm saying this now to liberals because Paige is going to keep an open mind, because all Paige is talking about is, should this be taught to our elementary school children? Should this be taught to our middle school children? Should this be taught to our high school children? Where do we draw the line? As parents, we pay taxes. We pay the taxes to these schools. And if it's a private school, we pay for them to go to that school. You bet your ass a parent has a right to decide what is taught. I don't care how you teach math. I think it's stupid how they teach math today. I think it's completely insane, but that's what's going on right now. Fine. But if you're going to teach my kindergarten, now it would be grandchildren because my children are up, but if my kindergarten grandchild is being taught little Tommy wants to become little Susie, and here's how it happens, or absolutely not.
Or you are, because you are the way you are because the white man did this. So no matter what your problem is in life, it's the white man's fault. And if that is put into a math book like it was in Florida, that's what we're talking about, people. It's bullshit. And Paige is fighting the fight out there, and they're making ground.
This group is getting.
They're making ground.
She was on a YouTube video that made it to Fox and Friends. So we consider this a big interview, guys. We do,
because it's important, and it's important. It's an important cause,
and because we've talked about it many times. And Dale and I, we don't have children in school anymore. We don't have them. They're not in school. But we will eventually have grandchildren that start going to school. And so and Paige will comment on this tomorrow. But remember, Paige said a lot of people that are in this group are grandparents.
Correct. It's not and dads. It's called Moms for Liberty, but it's anybody who cares about their children being taught the right things in school and not the indoctrination.
If you don't think this group holds any bearing or has any weight, look at what happened in Virginia for the governor being elected in. Now, I don't know. Paige will have to confirm this. I don't know if it was Moms for Liberty that did it, but it was moms that stood up against what was going on and was fighting for what they wanted for their children. The one thing this administration does not want to mess with, and that's mama bears. And they have declared, I'm sorry, guys, they've declared war on our children. They've declared war on parents because they don't want us to have anything to do with raising our children. Biden has even talked about it. Right? When they're in school,
Yep.
they're the parents. The teachers are the parents.
There are kids
they're
when they're in school. That's what he said. There are kids when they're in school.
Never going to happen.
You know,
then give me child support.
Never going to happen. That's right. That's right. Jim, again, stay tuned for that on Thursday, folks. Thank you again for listening to the show. Again, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook. Jim, we're on TikTok, really gaining some ground on there. That's, like it or not, it's, you can talk what you want about TikTok. I've found some very good people that I've talked to that good patriot Americans on there. Like it or not, I don't care what they're owned by the Chinese or owned by that's fine. China already knows what's happening on my iPhone anyway. So, at any rate, please remember to share, give us a review.
And guess what, Del? We don't care if somebody disagrees with us. I don't insult us all you want. Don't care. I mean, but if you're going to call us liars or say that we're not, at least have something to back it up.
At least have some facts.
Because everything we present,
somebody wants to call me that, have some facts.
Everything we present that we don't state is our opinion, because we do that. We'll say, now, in my opinion, this is what's going on. But anything we talk about is a story from reputable news sources. Now, whether or not you think Fox News or Gateway Pundit
or Gateway or Daily Mail or any of that, Western Journal,
all that, if you don't, that's your problem. Okay, because we've actually had stories from CNN, MSNBC. All of them. We've had stories from all of them. So,
and on top of it, the story with Brooke today was not out of a news article because you can't find it. So this was directly from her, a parent in that district. And
again, I stress guys, because I did it this weekend. I really did. I put my headphones on and listened to George Strait. If you're having a problem and you're getting stressed out, just listen to George Strait. Your problems will go away.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was thinking that you did mention that the other time, and I was thinking if I wanted to slit my wrists and potentially jump from the highest building, then I'd put on George Strait.
Then you're not listening to George
Strait. That'd be the guy to do it.
Because his carrying your love with me.
Well, no, because I'm alive today, so that's why I didn't listen to him.
He sings from the heartland, but he also has some oceanfront property for sale too.
Yeah, this is I don't know what Jim's obsession is with George Strait. Yeah,
the greatest singer in American history. That's what it is. Possibly the world. What? He's had more number ones than anybody else.
What does that mean?
It doesn't matter. He has had more number ones.
Oh, good. He won the popularity contest. That's great. Joe Biden had more votes than Trump.
No, he didn't. I think that's being proven that he didn't. By the way, folks, 400 theaters are now going to start showing 2,000 Mules. It's getting some.
Yep.
It's getting, because the theaters wouldn't touch it when it first came out.
No, they would not. They would not.
400 of them.
All of a sudden, some revenue can be generated.
Lots of revenue.
Yeah, maybe we'll.
I honestly think they could charge $10 to $12 per movie, and people are going to pay.
I do too. And maybe at this point, Newsmax and Fox News will finally have the balls to report
their upper.
Which news pissed me off.
Fox, I get, because the ownership in Fox is moving away from Murdoch, right? The Murdoch side. It's going towards a more liberal, moderate way of going, if you will.
Sort of, yeah.
Newsmax, I don't think that's the case. The Blaze isn't talking about it, and that's Glenn Beck. So
I know he owns it.
Don't know.
He's the guy.
I don't know what's going on, folks. But Dinesh D'Souza, who is an immigrant that came over from India. And he's an American citizen, loves this country more than people that have ancestors have been in there for years. He loves this country.
That's correct.
And I'm telling you, he isn't going to put a movie out. He's not going to put a movie out where he can be made a fool out of. Just understand that. So
just understand that. And he doesn't put a movie out that can be debunked.
It has more truth than Al Gore's movie that he came out.
Inconvenient truth. Yeah, that was inconvenient. All right, Jim, we're out of here. Great show. Again, you hogged the microphone quite a bit this show, which is fine. I was
just thinking that I thought we had a pretty even discussion. Right?
No, you wouldn't shut up. which is perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. I like the fact that you took charge. You had some balls today, Jim, and I like that about you. You're growing up, is what I'm saying.
Cool.
So everybody, again, please follow, share. We really do appreciate it. Stay tuned for Thursday's show. It's going to be amazing.
Fun.
And we'll get into that before the actual interview on Thursday as well. So, Jim, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Everybody have a great day. We appreciate your support.
God
Jim,
bless the United States.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Talk to you later. Bye.